Hello and welcome to Tug of Heart with Marianne and Lori. Hi, Lori.
Vanakam,
Vodicom.
and looking forward to the new year. Sawubona.
Ah, what does that mean?
Well, in South Africa, it's a Zulu greeting, and it means directly. It means I see you.
Mm.
Sawubona. Any time of day, I see you. When you reflect on it in the origins of their language, the response to it is, forgive me if I'm pronouncing it wrong, Jikona, which means I am here.
Ah,
We love to mess around with greetings. We love words. So we'll say this for a while because at first glance, it's just that greeting. But it's a greeting designed around this idea that when you see someone, you bring them into existence.
yeah, that is
It's
beautiful.
right on, right?
Right?
And at further thought, just with this, it's having that reverent value for a person when you see them.
Mm-hmm.
I see you, but then it's I see you in a way that makes you real and tangible. We see people. I don't know how many people I passed on the way in here. I did not see them all. I saw their cars, and and that's okay too.
Yes.
But it's this addressing a person that brings them into existence. It makes and everything that's attached to that humanity, a human being brought into existence, all of the dignity that comes with it, the reverence, everything. I love this greeting. What do you think?
I think that it is so special for what we're looking at today, which is really the greeting of the new year.
Right.
So if we can look at 2021, and I think most of us are because we've come through a lot in 2020 with a sense of reverence for a new dawning, for a new year, for an opportunity to raise that soul knowing
Right.
that was born in 2020. And yet the response is, I am here. So we're not quite there yet, right? We see it, I see you, but I am here in what today's show is entitled The Space Between 2020 and 2021. And this parentheses, this particular holding space, is one of the most sacred spaces.
This is my favorite, and I think I can safely speak for you to say one of your favorite, probably your favorite space too, because I've told you before, by nature, we're liminal people. We're
Yes.
very comfortable in between different places and time and levels of existence.
Well, and more so than ever because it isn't it is so much about the process of the walk, right? Of getting to where we're going next. And this this particular liminal space has many seeds. It is a very for lack of a better word, like a very rich year.
Yes, this 2020 was so rich in revelation.
Revelation, that's it. Rich in revelation.
And
Yes.
and now the thing with revelation is it's fulfilled. It's meant to be fulfilled. So what do we do with that?
Right. Which seeds do we really take with us? And
Right.
what are we going to make the commitment to harvesting and planting and growing in the coming year?
And you and I had spoke on the last episode about a lot of people being dismissive of 2020. We didn't get a whole lot into that. One of the things I tossed around in my mind this week as we were speaking was this idea of why does it matter? And why do we want to remember 2020? And why do we have to take it with us? Like, it's so uncomfortable, negative, not a lot of goodness that we associate with it, but it's critical, and there's no other way about it from my perspective, because it's where we've been, and where we've been is who we are.
Yes.
So you have to just, so we're just talking, at least I'd thought of this thing. Well, actually, Steve had mentioned this in passing. Then I was thinking about it. We were talking. I don't even know how it came into being, but it did. In Greek, actually, it's Roman mythology. The Greeks and Romans, they're all there, kind of coexisting about as comfortably as some of us this
No,
year.
but I already love it because it's mythic, and there
And-
is this mythic journey.
And though I've announced that I'm monotheistic, I do like a good mythology story with a god in it. One of the gods.
Please, a goddess too.
So, in Roman mythology, their highest god is Janus.
Okay.
Okay, you would see this god, and it's the god of two faces. So if you see it, I mean, he's depicted on a coin, paper, and so you see a head looking left and one looking right, but that's not a three-dimensional representation of him. If in 3D form, this guy has a face in the front and he has a face at the back. So he's looking forward where he's going, and he's also looking back where he's come from.
That is
What
beautiful.
needs to be said, but I'll keep saying. And I love at least having that image to just kind of refer to when we're talking about, because not everybody can comfortably talk about this space that we're talking about.
Yes.
So picture this guy, moving about. He's the god of beginnings and transitions in literal and abstract ways, which really appeals to me specifically in this conversation, because they would pray to him. Okay, so that's kind of maybe abstract for some people, maybe not. He's also responsible for time, motion, change, which is where we're at. And why does it even matter? I mean, so what is the question? I was trying to picture him at first, what does this mean to have a face in front of you, one behind you, and you're moving? Does this mean like he could see 180 or 180, or does it mean he sees 360? It's not
The
omnipotence.
fullness. Yeah.
And when I thought about what it means to be in the liminal, 180, 180, 360, my answer is yes.
Yes to
To
what?
all of it.
To wholeness.
Because this is where we are. We have this same capacity to see back or forward, and still all. And our heart is that all. Okay, the mind could visit the past, and the future, if you want to say forward for that. The thing is, when we're talking about past and future, the past is concrete. Okay, future's abstract. We're in this very special moment right now, with a foot on each.
Yeah, that is
It's
beautiful.
big to me. This is so big to me, because I think, just to drop it back a level of intensity, because I'm really excited, as you can tell, you think of even just in terms of resolutions, a New Year's resolution. We have, the end of today, tear the paper of the calendar, it's gone. Or the end of the year, throw the calendar. That's symbolic, and that has meaning just really to man. But it's, this idea of tomorrow's brand new, that doesn't mean that like everything else doesn't exist. So if I would be making in a very practical way, which is where we'll start, a resolution about, maybe I'm having like cheese dust on my sweater and powdered sugar dust to go with it while I'm writing that I'm going to eat lettuce. Well, I'm going to I'm writing my list that I am eating lettuce this year. Mm-hmm. The problem with that is it's all abstract, but the concreteness is still on my shirt. And that's why like some of the resolutions don't work. As a matter of fact, what do they say? 8% are kept by the end of the year. Mm-hmm. The first month, well over half have failed.
Okay, I want to
Jump
just
in.
pause you for a second
go ahead.
because
Yeah.
I am listening.
Okay.
And first of all, it is just the two faces in and of itself is something I am going to carry with me, because I do think that we go to the past, whether it's the immediate past or the past of our lineage, and we are talking about right now a traumatic past. This
Right.
has been a year of trauma, of an unexpected fright that wounded us.
Right.
There was a battle to survive this. So the first piece, when I look from the eyes of the face that is behind me, I see I survived. Like that in itself, there's a resilience, there's a strength to it. Then looking forward to what's to come reminded me of this. There is something called a condolence ceremony for Native Americans. Mm-hmm. When someone has been to battle, before they are allowed back into the community, they are met and held by the elders. Oh. And there is a ceremony where they take the feather, and it reminds me of your powdered sugar. And they dust off the ears from things that they heard that wounded them in the battle. They dust the eyes for things they saw that marked their soul. They dust the mouth for words that were spoken or words that were spoken to them that wounded. They dust the heart for the disappointments and the losses. And they take them through this period of healing all that was wounded, all that was lost, before they can move forward into the community. And when you're talking about this liminal space this year, when you say this is everything, we have wounds to clean up.
Right. And
We have all been marked. We have all been marked. We have been marked in so many ways, and very, very deeply, and especially our hearts have been marked. And we don't have a collective experience of how do we help each other to be seen. I see you, but I am here and I am broken. I am not in a place to go forward. Not yet.
Right.
But we're going to help you do the work to get you there. So, Lori, it is I'm just feeling very moved by what you brought to the table.
I'm glad you are, because it had an effect on me to just consider it. Just the consideration for me. One of the things, there's this kind of, I guess, I don't know if it's a trend or a movement, or if it's always been, of people that are almost like they'd rather be more spiritual than concrete.
Well, it's spiritual bypassing is what I call it.
And the fact of the matter is, we are both.
We are both
we were created as
human
both.
beings. Hmm.
And in the order of creation, even Janus, the greatest god of arguably the greatest empire in the history of mankind, in the order of creation, we top him
How?
because we're both. The way and in the order we were created, the
Oh, we're
best
human
we're
and
created in a
divine.
particular
Yes.
order, and favor was given to things in the order they were created. And that's where we get our value from. That's where we get dominion and responsibility over animals because we were created after.
Yeah.
I mean, the animals were, but as far as that's what we got to name them. So they were given like as a gift. But but if you take just like the angels and the supernatural stuff, we were created after and favored. And that's when some of the angels fell, because how could we be made like this? It was hard for them to accept angels with that know the truth of good from bad. Big advantage. We didn't have that in the garden, if you want to talk about that. When you're talking about the ceremony by the elders, and then this thing of being broken, but you're being healed. I had said last time, and I am adjusting to this new me who I am now, which is a different kind of broken
Yes.
because of my
right.
year. And I think we've come far enough to say, but not more than the next guy. Different, but not more.
No,
Different.
there's no hierarchy
Right.
of loss
Right.
in this particular realm this liminal realm
Yeah, you don't get
that you're
like you
talking
said, like you don't
about.
get favor or credit for suffering, or if I was louder about it, or it's the relativity doesn't exist here.
Well,
How about we say that? It's not relative to other people's. So we all have this, but it's in this space, and if you take it with you moving forward, we talk about privilege, and we had just said about the privilege of being here at the end of the year. I stand in a very special way proud to say I have the privilege of being broken. It hurts to say, but it's a privilege because it's in being broken, even though you're not equipped, or you don't know how you're equipped to help this person that you see. It's your being broken that enables you to see them.
and to connect. You're
Yes.
absolutely right.
What is
Yeah.
that worth? What
Right.
cost is that worth? Marianne, in the last several years, your own losses, what is it worth? It it's worth nothing if you move forward from it and can't see somebody, or it's everything if you can. You're in this unique place, and I am, and everybody is, where we can transform, and it doesn't have to happen just in this moment, but it's a really rare and special time to not begrudge the past, because the fact of the matter is, in our fullness of being, today, Lori, that sits here talking to you, is also what happened in 2020. Forevermore.
Wait, I want to just stay with that. Say
My
that again.
personhood,
Yeah.
my personhood today, as I sit before you, includes my whole experience of 2020. I am different and new today for having lived that, for having survived it. And I'm weaker and I'm greater.
Yes.
And so are you, and so is everybody.
Right.
And this, I mean, whether people can, like people can wrap their head around it or not, this I know is true. This I would not take back. It's your personhood includes everything you've been. One of the things that comes to mind, this might make me choked up to say, is as we see, I had put in my phone like a couple of screenshots of memes of 2021 to share with you of people rejecting it. As I had gone to my phone to pull something up, I had this panic because I was reaching for a picture of Seth. And what hurt about it is the same thing that many people are anticipating in their own recovery. And that's how many pictures separated my last picture from him and me. And how many pictures I have on top of it that I had to scroll, scroll, scroll. I didn't want them there. I want him to be there. So coming from a different place, he still exists. This isn't gonna, these pictures aren't going to hide him or disguise it. I will get there. I will get there. I will make a special category, whatever. But our hearts are very much the same. They hold our experience, and they have this unique way of the future, which is abstract, but it's more concrete when you can clearly see what's behind you. To better picture it, maybe think of Janus, the god Janus. What do you imagine he is like as he steps from one door closing and another opening? And that's how life is for us. But he is very soberly taking that last look, and it's a unique advantage that elevates him from mortal to God, to be able to take that look as one shuts and one opens. And in this interim, he's existing in both places in that moment of the doors swinging.
And that's in a way where we enter into ceremony, whether it's an actual ceremony or it is the ceremony that is in our heart. You going through your phone in that moment, right? And like finding the space between you and Seth,
Right.
is a moment of ceremony.
Right.
And that's where the heart bursts, right? That's where the tears come,
Right.
because it's marking the ground with your tears, and it's creating this altar for the moment
Right.
of like just mark this moment.
And that's so profoundly true as I'm hearing this, because we can dismiss the past or want it erased, but the heart would not accept that, because to the heart that would be artificial and the heart's genuine.
Absolutely.
So to dismiss something, the heart does not settle for any artificial anything. Do not enter. It doesn't go. So whether you believe it or not, your heart is going to mark some of that, and it's adding it to the wholeness of your being. I've said this before, like at the end of our life, we are everything that we've been. And the beauty in this is it's where we landed, but where we've been. And that's kind of where you get this idea of redemption at any point in life.
Well, and that's your 360, right? So it's the looking behind, it's looking forward, and then it's that other image of one face looking one way, one looking the
That's
other.
right.
So these four directions creating this wholeness of who we are, and it is kind of rare to touch moments of wholeness like that.
It is. I mean,
Right?
people
It's
can maybe, I
hard.
would guess, people more experienced may become more efficient at it, but it's rare nonetheless. And
Right.
it doesn't make it less valuable. And we value things by rarity. So even people that can access it more, it holds that same value. People that can mine gold have more access to it, but gold holds its value,
Yes, yes,
if that
yes,
makes
yes. It
sense.
makes perfect sense.
So we're in this, so looking back and forward, we're in this place where you can decide, I can't change any of the acts I did in 2020. But what I can do is I can line them up with what's good and what's right in my heart. And nature, and when I say nature, I mean the supernatural, will do the rest. And they will line it up. You have a lot of people talking about people that hurt, that prejudice, this. Paul, one of our saints, he tormented more of a different race more than anybody. He saved way more than many people. I don't know what age it happened for him, but it did happen. But it was his wholeness of being at the moment when he like fell off his horse and became transformed. He took all that with him and he put it to good use, actually. Everything bad he had done, as soon as he changed his heart and did that little, just the little switch, the shift we were talking about, the little shift, everything that once served, everything that was against good, it made sense that it best served a good at the same time. Use the same skills, the same history. And that's where creativity comes in. It's from the heart and above in a way that we probably couldn't just turn on or off at will.
No, but what you're speaking to is that all these rejected, in a way, parts of ourselves, the ones we put in exile because they don't line up with the sense of our goodness or how we're supposed to be, our humanness, our imperfections. Those pieces are part of this whole that when we make the space to what we're talking about right now, be in that wholeness without judgment,
Right.
that there is the possibility for shift because in the absence of judgment comes the curiosity to look again, to move. If I think back over this year, one of my greatest woundings was something my brother said to me when he was angry. Out of
Oh.
all the real losses I had, and
Isn't
I
that
had
funny what
many
rises
deaths.
to the top?
And while you were talking, I was thinking this was the greatest wound because within it, he named something that connected all the other places. So he was going through the death of his wife.
Yes, yes.
Very hard time. He felt I didn't show up for him in the way that he needed me to. And he was angry. He was angry at me. And I was it's true. If he says I didn't show up the way he needed me to show up, then
That's
I
his
didn't.
reality. That's his
Yeah, I
reality.
didn't.
Fair
I
enough.
wasn't the perfect sister. I didn't do it right. And I was willing to hold that. And I said that to him. I said, I failed you. And in his anger, he said to me, it doesn't matter because you are nothing to me. You have never been, and it makes me cry
Me
still.
too. That's
You
me.
have never been anything. You are nothing. I tell you, I cried, I think, for 3 days straight, like a pain that took me to the void of nothingness, of I am nothing. That's why my husband left me. That's why
Yes.
my school closed. That's why everything just never came to fruition in the way that it was supposed to, because I am nothing. And then I sunk deeper into I am no thing. I am nothing. I accepted. I am no thing. I am no thing. I don't know. It just created this shift. And what was this dark void
Yes,
became an opening.
that's the beauty.
Right.
It lined up
It lined
with
up.
a different purpose. But that's in yielding. We were talking about yielding. And it's in that safe space where judgment cannot enter. I like to think of our hearts as kind of semi-permeable. A lot of stuff we don't want. And it's not by our choice. You know, what we want to take in there. You got your ego. You're actually checked at the door. You might think you're in the heart. Probably in your mind, if I had to guess. This is not for me to say about other people, for myself. But it's the same thing that is the lowest of low, that is opposite of how we began talking, which is I see you. And from that, it's nobody sees you.
Right.
And the reason that hurts, insults hurt us because they strike a chord. Maybe it's true, first of all. But more than that, very special. Congratulations to your brother.
No, it's truly.
That's actually one of the better I've heard, because that's so contrary to our creation. That's a zinger.
He's a Scorpion male.
I'm not
he
mocking.
can do it.
No, but you know what I'm saying? And that's, I mean, can you imagine his pain that led him to say that, is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking so many things.
Absolutely. And
also
yes.
for him to say that, and that's what happens when you're not coming from the heart. Things are turned on their head. So your nothing means I needed you because you were everything left, or
right,
what I had remaining.
That's the 360.
That is the 360.
That's
but when you can bring it back to the heart, and you know what? It made it through that semi-permeable in the heart. So it wasn't like, so untrue, not welcome here. You took it with you.
Right.
It's true. And because the heart adds.
Yes.
So it's true. Let's shift it. Let's look at it. Let's have a better look. And actually, beyond philosophically, that's all right. That makes good sense.
No,
I like
does.
it.
I kind of love what you're saying, because
monks spend years trying to do what your brother did for you in a day.
We
need to get to Tibet and let some people know, like, he could draw income.
I'm telling you.
By telling them, like,
dried up
you're
my
nothing.
tears.
You're nothing. You're like, thank you. 30 years I tried to believe this.
But I want to give this as a tool, because it's something you were just hinting at, which is, yes, you are nothing. And what else are you? I am everything? Yes. You are everything. What else are you?
If you're nothing and everything, the only word I can think of right now, and maybe because I'm tired, but is what you said. To be nothing and everything rests on the word potential.
Which is 2021.
Ding, 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 ding.
Lori. You get credit. That's a good one.
No, but seriously.
Yes.
And then.
Yes, that's potential.
The work is not finished, because none of us want to be potential. There was a time, I can't believe I'm saying this, when my husband had said, "You have so much potential." I was so insulted. I can't explain. And we have a tremendous love.
Oh my gosh. Admiration for each other.
I think that we are like, it's so rare. We don't, it's not even bragging on it, but we're not really fighters and stuff. We're very like-minded. So coming from him, no matter how he meant it, there was no good way he could mean it. Seriously. I mean, I think in my immaturity, and then I went and made the mistake or correct choice. I shared it with a friend, and we just tore it all to pieces. And, I sent him like 20 memes of, "You have potential."
You laughed with him.
And
right?
it was all losers receiving it. And I I need to, when I get home, I need to tell him, remember 3 years ago, I wouldn't let it go. I'm not letting it go because I like it. But that's that space that can do that, because it's not, it's truth, and it's truth beyond facts, and it's
Yes.
good.
It makes sense always, but the potential needs a little action because love is an action,
Right.
right? The heart wants us to act on what it is that we have the potential to actually grow. But in order to do that, in this space that you're talking about, there needs to be a transmutation in a way, a heating up of the wound of nothing. Feel every way you have ever felt nothing. And from that, let it move and transmute, because ultimately, if I take nothing into 2021, the way that translates to me is that I have the
You
potential
have
to
more.
make space because I'm not taking up a lot
You
of
have
space,
more. You go with more than anybody.
right?
And it,
So that's the potential of the wound if it is worked with, if it is cleaned and healed and shared.
it's funny. I have so many thoughts about that. One that came to me is my brother did not say that to me, but there was a time that a series of events that left me feeling like nothing, and I said it kind of combatively. We're twins, so we're
Yes.
and I said it truthfully, I said it very strong, but hurt, very wounded, but very true. And I said this whole thing, what's been brought to light, and everything else is just made me feel lower than everybody here.
Yes.
And I want you all to know. I don't know how this, it wasn't like a massive room of people, but those among us. But I was being genuine, and this, so I was safe enough to say this. I said, these things that have happened have brought me so low, and I'm feeling lower than anybody. And I had turned to them and I said it with honesty, not no threat of duress or anything like that. But I'm so glad, because right now I'm the strongest of all of us. I said, so it was like defiant, but
Yes.
it was righteous defiance in the moment. I said, "You bet. I am the lowest, but right now of all of us, I am the strongest here because I have been brought here, and I hope you guys get." And it was in honesty and love that it was being said. It was emotional because it's the feeling of low feels low, no
Yes.
matter what.
But what you're speaking to, in the lowest of places, you may discover a strength that you did not know existed in you. And in the highest of places, you may discover a vulnerability that you didn't
Oh, and
know
it's
lived
so
in you,
I, it's
right?
it's worse to be higher than lower. That I spent the majority of my life maybe thinking the opposite.
Right.
But I would love to just kind of cruise along. Unfortunately, life's not like that, and there's distractions. But when your brother said all of these things to you that brought you so low, and the tears and the brokenness, this is what I was talking about when I said this is the privilege of being broken.
Yes.
And
Yes.
this is how in the heart, it's not magic like certain words are said, and this leads to this. It's not a formula. It's not a spell. It's real, and it is concrete. If you utilize it properly, where this brokenness is an absolute privilege to take. Having said that, we also would have to recognize in this space, like in very few times in history we are uniquely in this place where everybody kind of has this same privilege. But how often does that happen? Sometimes it's this group or this group. That still exists, but on some level. Some people aren't feeling it. The people that truly are not feeling anything with this year, and they exist. And I was going to say God bless them, but I hope God blesses them is what I meant. The ones that truly like haven't experienced this year or don't feel tapped in some way, apart from them, everybody else is in this really rare, unique place where there's this awakening just the other side of the one door while we're still looking back at the previous door. And guess what? If anybody who feels roughed up, who's feeling it, and you're invited. That's just how it works. It really is.
Well, and it is this idea of connection, right? There is that beautiful meditation. I think it's a Buddhist meditation, tunneling, where you breathe in the suffering of all those who have suffered this year. I breathe in all the darkness, it completely, every heart that has suffered in any way, we breathe it in. And then we breathe out a connection, heart to heart. And this in and out of breathing it in and then breathing out this ray of light, this hand in the dark that says, I connect with you. My heart connects to yours. And it creates this oneness that you're talking about, that 360, the circle of connection between human hearts that have been hurt. Right? That have been hurt. Like there is a deep connection that can create good things with this sense of resilience and strength. I think that was an important quality that you brought up, that we are all going into this new year with a strength simply by having faced the unknown. We had a year that was uncharted. No one, including the political leaders, the doctors, those experts, nobody knew how it would play out. And we stumbled through it together. And it really, I think, holds this shift that is going to happen. And I do really feel like the work to align with the highest good, let this suffering bring about the highest good for humanity. Because it goes back to,
this
like,
is what
we're going to be extinct. Human beings are going to be gone if we don't get it together.
People have this image sometimes of a Christian life, a Catholic life for me specifically, of it's like just kind of out there, kind of superstitious, but it's really tangible. Like this is so basic. This is basically what's being said when they're like, offer your suffering up. But when it's said, it sounds almost like self-flagellation. Oh, woe is me. Look at me. More importantly, and if you are doing that, you could pull that stunt off for a while. You can pretend to be a martyr, but sooner or later you're going to have to do what a martyr does.
Yeah, goodbye.
You can only there will be a defining moment that will separate who meant it and who didn't. When you were saying this about all of us being in this together, I had jotted down breathing in the suffering and letting it out together. This is like a shared helplessness, and there's a beauty in that shared helplessness. We talk about, and maybe you have these different approaches to life and understanding life in terms of from the ground up, from the lowest up to the divine, or does it come to us from the divine down? And again, it's both, a little bit of both. But in this way, it's like it clears the playing field, at least for me, somewhat, because you hear people say, what can I do? You know, all this separation that has to do with what people have, what they don't have, who they are, who they're not. Look at them, look at this. But the true unifying potential that we hold is in this shared helplessness. And that's why you hear across religions, it's not Christianity, it's the Buddhists, it's the Taoists, it's Christians, of course, but so many faiths. I would dare that there is this, the idea of suffering is regarded as unifying, and it's a work, like together. It's one of the few things we could do
It
together.
absolutely is. And what I was thinking when you were saying this kind of shared helplessness, right? So that is like the humbling moment where as human beings we say, help me.
You know,
I can't do this alone. So
Yes.
whether we're looking to create something new and good, it will always need help of inspiration, of divine connection, of connection to our neighbors, of love for the great mother, right? Of our connection to the earth. Help me.
right.
So I'm thinking about the new year and like rather than even a resolution or an intention, a call of like, help me to live each day with a what? Like, what is it that you want to bring into each day? Help me to live each day.
If I had to say for myself, the obvious one, at least during our weekly conversation, would
Yes.
be help me bring me into my heart.
Yes, beautiful. No, that's
A little,
so beautiful.
little wordy is always. I was and
Help
I
me
and
to live
I was
each
also
day.
just thinking when we, you know, like one of the words that's you just made me think of this. We always say like, "Oh, that's common sense. Come on," you know, and there's common sense doesn't actually exist. It's not really a possibility. I know people say they can try to qualify it, but as soon as you qualify it, it's not common. It's not, you know, and as soon as you start, well, it's because we actually mean this, you're discluding some people, it's no longer common. You can't break it up to make more sense because it's not. But the way that you were just saying this, you know, goodbye common sense. But like, how about a common helplessness or common need?
Vulnerability.
Yes.
We are vulnerable as
Yeah.
human beings. Like, and that is
And
connect
need,
from there.
we had spoke, oh my gosh, sometime in the last year about helping the poor. And I had told you poor by definition is need. So it's like,
Yes.
no matter what you obtain in life, you know, how much you sink into your car, your wallet, whatever, or don't, in beauty, whatever. What if we just, and as a like, part of me wants to remember, and I wouldn't say like it's a resolution, but I resolve to always try to tap into, no matter how far I stretch or don't, that I belong to a common poverty.
Well,
And it's a ground up movement.
and I kind of love that because it's reminding me we talked about it because the kids.
Common need is
They
all we're
were-
saying. We
right.
all, what the lowest among us needs, I need, you need. If there's one person in this country uncomfortable, you and I have not arrived.
Well,
We're in need, big, serious need.
Yes, and it came, this idea of talking about help the poor came from
The kids.
the kids. They were like, help the poor. And we had this conversation, and then it led to this expansive thinking on um, what kind of poor. It could be the poor. The children were like poor who don't have money, right?
That's how we got
Right?
right,
And then
right.
how about what does poor of heart mean?
Right.
What does poor of friendship mean?
A spirit.
What is
These are the
poor?
Beatitudes. I'd say
Yes. So this
this is what it means. It
idea,
only means need.
it means a need, a lacking, filling a need. Help me to be a vehicle of that kind of recognition. It's back to the ICU, right? I'm
Right.
here. I see you. I see that there is a need there. And I'm just here. I'm not telling you how to fix it or I can fix it, but I have room for that.
Right.
So, oof.
A lot to consider.
A lot to consider, but we only have what, 24 hours?
Right.
How many hours left before
and this is
we
just
go?
the beginning of a new conversation for the year. I mean,
Yeah.
we're practical people. We'll break it into steps, and maybe during the year we'll just start to explore the idea of course, the heart is always priority for me, or has been for a very long time. I am generally kind of, my existence is in my head. You know this about me.
Yeah.
This is maybe my stretch will be somewhat to consider the global heart, because that's not where I usually go. That's
Yeah,
okay
no,
though.
That's a stretch, and
Right?
that,
Yeah.
and I know that has been in the solitude of this year. So much of that has awakened in me, is just the global injustices and the sense of learning more and opening my heart to becoming a supportive citizen,
Right.
supportive like that. How do I support those who are struggling?
Right.
And
Well said.
that is
I
definitely in 2021.
Incidentally, I found out just before I had to come in, because I pulled it from this whole story of Janice. Janice, Janu, January.
Oh,
That's where they get January from. It just lined up like
come
that
on, Lori.
moments before we sat here. So moving into January,
That's beautiful.
I didn't plan it. I only discovered it like right before we sat.
Well, and it makes perfect sense, right?
But you and I take things like this as kind of like
oh, I love
confirmations for
that.
us.
Absolutely.
And I love today. I feel like it was our little impromptu ceremony.
In a sense, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the
And also outside time. So
Yes.
everybody's included if they hear it tomorrow, the next day. If I revisit this,
right.
it's this place where we can relate to and check in with. It's what we would call an altar, or just a way to mark what's happened here.
Yes. And
Janice.
there is something
beginning.
simple in that.
That does mean the beginning.
Yeah, I could see that.
And it's always, you had spoke about your heart, how it goes, the direction it goes, and then it starts again and again.
Yes, each day is
I
a new
haven't
beginning.
worked out how I picture my heart, but there's so many beginnings all the time.
There truly. And so as we close out 2020,
I don't mind it as much now.
No, I'm ready. I do feel a readiness, and I feel an appreciation just to be here with you in this
Me too.
moment, Lori.
It's very
I
special.
really do.
Oh, thank you. Me too.
So
You know how I
end
feel
on that
about you.
note. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really, really have a good year and a heartfelt year, and just be good to each other.
And we are a forum. We are to put out questions, to join the conversation.
Right. We've started a little,
We
like you had said, a
open it.
little clumsy.
Right.
Bear with us as we get stronger and help us. Give us some feedback, and
You're welcome at our table.
Yes,
You
anybody has
really are.
ideas or wants to come in and talk? Thanks, Marianne. Thanks, everybody. Happy interim.
Yes.
Happy the space between. Happy liminal.
Yes.
Happy New
Yes.
Year.
Happy New Year for
And in
sure.
you. Okay,
Okay.
don't forget to love.
And listen with the heart.
Farewell.
Farewell.